Hi, this is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about a really easy way you could strum through a song by John Mayer called Something About Olivia. And it starts on a G major chord, and the way you play G major, first finger is going to go to the A on the second fret, second finger is going to go low E on the third fret, and third finger is going to go to the high E on the third fret. And if you kind of strum all those together, that sounds a G major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. And then from the G major, we're going to be going to a C major chord. And the way you play C major, first finger is going to go to the B string on the first fret, second finger is going to go to the D on the second fret, and third finger is going to go to the A string on the third fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a C major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. And then from the C, we're going to be going back to the G major, and then doing another G major, and then going back to C major, and another C major, and then we go back to G major, and then we do another G major, and then we go to a D major chord. And the way you play D major, first finger is going to go to the G on the second fret, second finger is going to go to the high E on the second fret, and third finger is going to go to the B string on the third fret. And if you kind of strum just the D, G, B, and E, that's called a D major chord. It sounds really happy. And then from the D major, we're going to go back to C major, and then we're going to go back to G major, and then do another G major. And we're actually following something called 12-bar blues form. But a lot of times with this song, actually, to kind of play through it, I like adding something called a strum pattern. One of my favorite 4/4 strum patterns is down, down, up, up, down, up. So we took the G and just kind of tried that. We'd have down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So we tried that through our progression. We have G, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, down, C, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down, G, down, down, up, down. So that would be one way to kind of play through the song. Something you could add to make it sound a little bit more like bluesy would be to use something called dominant 7 chords. So the way you play a G7 chord instead of a G is you take the first finger and go to the high E on the first fret, second finger is going to go to the A string on the second fret, and third finger is going to go to the low E on the third fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a G7 chord, and it sounds kind of off, and it's a little bit supposed to. And then instead of using a C chord, we could actually use something called C7. The way you play C7, first finger goes to the B string on the first fret, second finger's on D on the second, third finger's on the A on the third, just like the regular C. But then you take the pinky and kind of go to the G string on the third fret. And if you strum all the strings with that, that's called a C7. C dominant 7. He sounds a little messed up. He's kind of supposed to. And then instead of using a regular D major, we could actually use something called D7 or D dominant 7. And then when you play D7, first finger is going to actually stay on the B on the first fret, second finger is going to go to the G string on the second fret, and third finger is going to go to the high E on the second fret. So you kind of notice it looks like D in reverse. If D was Superman, this would be Bizarro. And so on D7, you want to play just kind of the top 4 strings to kind of get a clear sound, just like the other D chords. Most D chords will do that. And that's called a D7. It sounds kind of messed up, and it's kind of supposed to. So we substitute in those chords instead. We could do that same strum pattern. We have G7 down, down, up, down, C7 down, down, up, down, G7 down, down, up, down, G7 down, down, up, down, C7 down, down, up, down, C7 down, down, up, down, G7 down, down, up, down, G7 down, down, up, down, D7 down, down, up, down, C7 down, down, up, down, G7 down, down, up, down, C7 down, down, up, down. Now something else you may want to try, but you may have to kind of really work to get this to match up with the feel of the tune, is instead of using an 8th note strum pattern, which is that down, down, up, down, up. And what an 8th note is if you're tapping your foot and you divide that into 2 parts. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We call that an 8th note. But sometimes I like using something called a 16th note strum pattern. What a 16th note is where you divide that foot tap into 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And one of my favorite, the 16th note strum patterns is long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up. And what I mean by that is like if you took the G major and just did a down for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what you're doing on the first beat. And on the second beat, you're doing a down on 1, down on 3, up on 4. So you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the up on 2, down on 3. So you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 up, down, 1 up, down, 1 up, down, 1 up, down. And then on the last beat, you're going down, up, right along with the 1, 2, 3, 4. So down, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So all together, you got long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down. So that could be kind of cool to try and work it that way. And if we did that through our chord progression, we have G, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, C, down. You may want to try and add is some even more jazzier chords. And one of my favorite dominant 7 chords with kind of a jazzy kind of voicing is something called G13. And the way you play G13 is first finger is going to go on the low E on the 3rd fret, second finger is going to go to the D string on the 3rd fret, third finger is going to go to the G string on the 4th fret, and you take the pinky and kind of go over the E and the B string as kind of a mini bar. Everybody loves mini bars. On the 5th fret, on the E and the B string together, and all together, that sounds a G13. So we're playing the root and the flat 7 and the 3rd and the 6 and the 9 of the chord. And then instead of using a regular C, you could actually use a C9. And the way you play C9, first finger goes to the D string on the 2nd fret, second finger is going to go A string on the 3rd fret, and third finger is going to kind of go over the top 2 or top 3 strings, E, B, and G, all on the 3rd fret. So it's kind of a little bar, but with a different finger first, which is kind of interesting. And you strum just the A string to the high E for that, and that's called C9 or C dominant 9. And if we take that shape and we slide it over 2 frets, we'd have first finger on the D on the 4th fret, second on the A on the 5th fret, third finger covering G, B, and E on the 5th fret. Then that's called D9, and that can be a good substitute for the D chords or the D7 chords. So we tried that with our 16th note strum pattern. We have G7, down, down, up, or G13, C down, C9, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, G13, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, G13, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, C9, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, C9, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, G13, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, some neat rhythm chords through the tune. What John Mayer does, the intro of the tune though, is a really, really cool lick too. And John Mayer is the man as far as old blues techniques goes. And he's really kind of cultivated a lot of thumb basses like Jimi Hendrix and Robert Johnson. And so what he starts out with for the lick is he takes the thumb and goes over the top of the guitar to the 1st fret and does a slide to 3rd fret. So we got 1st fret to low E 3rd. It's a kind of a slide with the thumb. And then we're going to take the 1st finger and go to the B string on the 3rd fret, 2nd finger on the G string on the 4th fret, and we're going to strum those 2 notes and then go back to the low E 3rd that the thumb's still kind of holding. And then we're going to go back to that 3 and 4 together and then do a hammer on to 5th fret on the G string. This so reminds me of Little Wing in a way, because you're taking 3rd fret on the B and the G string on the 4 and then trying to get 3rd finger to hammer on to 5th fret on the G string, and then we do that again, and then we go back to the 3 and 4 with the 1st finger, 2nd finger. So we got 1, 3 slide, 3, 4 bass, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 1, 3, 3, 4, 3, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4. So what could be a cool idea is to take that lick and then do it through our chord progression. So if we were going to do it for a C chord, we'd actually start on 6th fret on the low E with the thumb slide, And now your lick's kind of working on 8th fret on the B string and 9th fret on the G string. And then if we did it for a D chord, you'd actually be starting from the 8th fret slide with the thumb to 10. And then now we'd be working off a 10th and an 11th fret for our lick. So we got 3, actually now we're on 10, 10, 10, 11, 10, 10, 11, hammer on the 12. And then we do that twice, and then we go back to the other lick. So we followed our whole progression that way. We have the G lick, G lick, oh, but then the C lick. So we followed that through our progression with the lick. You'd have the G lick, but then we go to the C lick. So then we got the 6th to 8th slide, and then we go back to the G lick from the 1-3, and then another G lick. We go back to the C lick, so we got the 6-8 slide, another C lick, 6-8 slide, and then back to G slide, so 1 and 3, G lick. But then we go to the D lick, so we'd have the C to 10, like working the 10, so 8 to 10 slide, and then we have the C working the 6-8 slide, and then we'd be back to the G with the 1-3 slide. Now, if you're a little bit more adventurous, that lick could be really cool to try and work finger style too, where you'd go low E with the thumb, and then use the middle and the index finger for your G and your B notes. So you'd have thumb, index, middle, thumb, index, middle, index, middle, index, middle, thumb, index, middle, hammer on, hammer on. Which I think actually could work out a lot easier in the long run. So we followed that through our lick. We'd have a G lick, C lick, G lick, G lick, C lick, C lick, G lick, G lick, D lick, C lick, G lick, G lick. So that might be kind of a cool thing to kind of add to it too. And like most John Mayer tunes, it's all about the jam. And so if you want to kind of jam along with it, actually a lot of the solo parts actually work a G minor pentatonic scale. And so that's G notes and B flat notes, C notes, D notes, F notes, and then more of those. So it's kind of a 5-note scale. But one of my favorite patterns to work that with is starting from 3rd fret on the low E, and then you go 6th fret on the low E, and then 3rd on the A to 5th on the A, and then 3rd on the D to 5th on the D, and then 3rd to 5th on the G string, and then 3rd to 6th on the B string, and then 3rd to 6th on the high E. So you got 3, 6, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 6, 3, 6. And there are all kinds of different lick ideas you could go with. You could go with hammer-ons through the pattern. You could work pull-offs through the pattern. You could put those together like hammer-on pull-offs. Or pull-off hammer-ons. Or you could try doing slides where you kind of leave a little bit of pressure on the string. Or you could do one of John Mayer's favorite things, which is to work bends. So you could take those notes and kind of press up and into the guitar until you get to the thick strings, and you got to kind of bring them back down the other way. But that's just some ideas for that. And if you wanted to, you could even kind of do like kind of the lick. Like that, you know, you can kind of work that idea of like lick of the fingerstyle part that we were talking about, even taking that lick and then throwing a little bit of the pentatonic. So there are all kinds of ways you can kind of approach it, especially when it comes to jamming. But that's the basics of how you could strum through Something About Olivia by John Mayer. So good luck!